Hello, one and all. Welcome.
Hi.
Hey, what's going on, everyone?
Hey.
What is going on? We are here to talk about very important things, and those important things are all about the Orville. Many of us know, we've been told personally, some of us, that the Orville is coming back for a fourth season, a season 4. 'Tis the season for 4 seasons, you guys. Are you guys excited?
I'm extremely excited. I cannot wait. Are you kidding me? I'm like, all right, I'm already sitting there contemplating what's going to be coming next. You know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. How about you, ELYSE and Mike?
Very, very excited.
Yeah, it's excited as well. I mean, it's sadly, I mean, coming out of COVID and the writer's strike and the actor's strike, I mean, there's such a backlog of work and work that's now being divided among, several studios, several streaming studios. So there's responsibilities to Fuzzy Door and to Hulu and to Disney, as well as to UCP and TED and Peacock. So I think that's the reason why we have such a protracted time frame. But yeah, we've been told, I would say on good authority, that it's coming back. So I think so. I think there are some safe bets that we'll see, and maybe some other things that will just blow us out of the water that we never expected.
Yeah, and speaking of Fuzzy Door, I've checked out Fuzzy Door on Twitter. They put out stuff all the time. I don't feel like Fuzzy Door Productions has enough followers on Twitter, or X, as some people like to call it. If you get a chance, go over there, find Fuzzy Door, give them a follow, and also the new technology that Fuzzy Door and Seth MacFarlane and his crew put together called View Screen, I think.
View Screen, So Brandon Fayette. Yeah, Brandon Fayette essentially invented that, developed that, or had a strong hand in that. But we've got him scheduled on an upcoming episode of Talking Ted, and we're going to chat with him about, because we were going to actually do, like, maybe we're considering doing a supplemental of Mission Log the Orville to have him on there, but then he wouldn't be able to sip Bear Fight whiskey with us, and that would be
there
sad.
You go.
So we're gonna have him.
You got to be able to have some Bear Fight whiskey. Hey, where's my Bear Fight whiskey? Actually, I probably wouldn't drink it on screen because I'd start getting loopy. But
I think Jessica and I just finished recording the other night before the wheels fell off. So
wow, or the quantum engines exploded, right? But if you guys are on X or Twitter, go check out View Screen. Or you can check me out. I repost their stuff from Fuzzy Door and View Screen, so you could probably find them on my page and then give them a follow. Not enough people are following these wonderful organizations, these wonderful productions. Another thing we want to talk about today is, when do we think, though we know that the Orville has been picked up for a 4th season, that's what I was told. That's the exact words that I was told, is that they're picked up for a season 4. When do we think the studios might finally announce to the public that we're getting a 4th season of the Orville?
That's a good question. Me personally, I like to think, with Ted doing good and coming back another season, it's going to be up to Seth. In my view, it's going to be probably up to Seth, because of the fact that, like he had mentioned before in prior interviews, that he has to first take care of his obligations. So you figure that, once he's done this obligation, now that's not to say he can't juggle too. So I would say, predicting wise, who knows? He might surprise everyone and announce it maybe on the anniversary, when season 3 came out, on the anniversary, or the anniversary when the first episode came out for the Orville. He might surprise all the fans.
Well, it'd be a wonderful anniversary. The season 3 came out just a little over 2 years ago. I mean, it was still playing at this point, with the new episodes coming out for a couple months. But we're getting close to the 2-year mark. I believe at the beginning of August, it'll be 2 years since season 3 premiered. And then in September, the very next month, we have the Guide to the Orville coming out by Dark Horse Comics, written by Andre Bormanis, executive producer, one of the head writers for the Orville. Also just a really cool guy, really neat guy. I think personally, September, anywhere between now and September, would be a great time to announce the Orville to help promote book sales.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think this fall timeframe, just as it being, I think the absolute earliest they'll be able to get into the studio and start actual work. You know, so I think that would be around the time that we'll see something announced or hear something announced. But yeah, man, let's talk more about the book and Andre, and maybe some folks that are fans of the Orville but not Star Trek fans maybe don't realize is that Andre started off as the science advisor for the last season of Next Gen, and then went to Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, got into the writer's room, and got into the producer world. So just he's been in the industry forever. He's got a master's from, I believe it's Washington University in space policy, and a bachelor's degree in aero engineering or astronautical engineering, something super brainy and spacey. So
the guy knows
smart.
science fiction very, very well, and he's a really great writer. I actually have, I don't know anyone else who has, well, I do know one person who has it, but I don't know anyone else besides that one person who has this. I have an advanced copy right in front of me right now of the guide to the Orville that Dark Horse Comics sent to me to go over, to look at it, to love it, and to talk about it, and to share it with all you lovely people on StreamYards and out there on YouTube as well. And I have to say, this is the most, not only the most beautifully written thing about the Orville I've ever seen. It is jam-packed with so much information about the Orville universe, canon. I now know so much about the Orville, and I already knew a lot about the Orville. That paled in comparison to what I now know specifically about the Orville.
Wow.
Thank God I pre-ordered it.
Yeah. You got to pre-order this thing. All you guys out there, the link is in the description of this video. Pre-order this thing. Get the deluxe edition. The deluxe edition is more than just the book. Here, I got a picture of it right here. The deluxe edition is, let me press some buttons here. Let me press some other buttons here. The deluxe edition is everything. Not only do you get the book, you get four badges of the 4 different disciplines from the Orville. Well, not the Admiral one, but hey, what you gonna do? And then you get a nice slip cover, but you get a fold out poster of the Orville schematic drawn by Matthew Cushman, I believe is the artist who drew that. It's in the book, but you actually get a larger fold out version of it when you get the deluxe edition. I mean, it is beautiful, and it's just for a little bit more.
Is that something in the wing? Is there like rooms in the wing, like the back wing?
Let me check and see. Let me put it back up on the screen.
You're talking about those quantum rings?
Yeah, like
yeah,
it looks
yeah,
like
down to
there's
the bottom
rooms
right
or
there.
something. People can
Oh yeah,
actually
and
go
there's
in there.
technical stuff. Yeah, they got to work on them.
What?
I mean, I can't zoom into it, but also this version of the image isn't super high quality. I have a really high quality version, but I cannot share that one.
That's so cool.
I can't share that one.
See, like
It's amazing looking.
because I'm designing the ship for the game, and like understanding what goes where in the ship and stuff is so interesting. And there's a lot that we haven't been told about the ship, and for them to bring this out and like go into detail of like what is in the ship is really cool.
Well, it's hardcore detail, and it's amazing that the ship, the schematic, is kind of a 3-dimensional view. It's not like a top-down or side view. It's kind of turned a little bit, and they were able to make sense of the whole thing. So it has every deck, it has bullet points of what every little section of the ship and every room is and what it's for.
Wow.
But even that schematic is nothing compared to all the information in this book. I mean, we're talking every piece of technology, every area of the ship. I know when the ship was built. I know when they were studying it. I know the exact date it was commissioned to start going out there and having missions. It goes over all the emergency operation systems. It goes over who everyone on the ship, all the senior officers, all the non-human species in the Orville universe. It just goes into great detail. And every page is jam-packed with beautiful high-res images.
Wow.
and drawings as well for like all the, all the different devices and equipment that's used
I
on the
need
ship.
that.
It's crazy.
JP, did you ever chat? Did you cover the release of The World of the Orville by Jeff Bond when that came out?
I believe I did. I mean, I don't think I did a review. I think I did kind of like a conversation like this.
Okay.
I do have a version of it signed by Seth MacFarlane, packed away in a box. I've been wanting to bring it out. But I've been wanting to get something for the wall that can either hang a book safely or stand a book up safely. And then, but I haven't gotten one.
Yeah,
of those.
if I remember right, Andre wrote the intro for that, the forward for that.
Yeah, and then the rest of the book, I think it was by James Bond.
Jeff
Bond. I was going to
James
say
Bond.
That can't be right.
007.
But Jeff Bond. That's right. Yeah, the 007 book, and that book is amazing. But it's nothing compared to all the information in this book. The first, you get welcomed aboard. This book is from the point of view as if you're a new officer being welcomed aboard the Orville, ECV 197, and it's everything you need. It's a guide for you to serve aboard the ship, but it has a welcome message from Admiral Halsey. But my favorite thing, and there's a lot of favorite things in this book, my favorite thing is the prologue. The prologue is 10 pages by a historian, a famous historian in the Union. It goes on for 10 pages about the entire history of the Union.
Wow.
Hundreds of years, and the reason humanity started going towards this route of utopia. It inspired me incredibly.
So I take it that this book was written maybe sometime after Captain Mercer took command, because otherwise he would have known things like Mocklins lay eggs or where the fire suppression system is and things like that.
It's written afterwards. You're completely caught up. The last 100 pages of the book, and this is amazing. The last 100 pages of the book, and it's a big book, is personal logs from all the different officers, various times, going over various missions throughout all three current seasons.
Whoa.
So you're getting a firsthand look from these officers, from Gordon, from Tala. I believe even Alara is in there giving personal information about missions that she was on, and it's dumbfounding for a fan. It's so much good information.
Well, I like to call that the Orville Bible Part 2.
Yeah,
exactly. And then it's going to be helpful as far as from a fan series perspective to stay in canon and all. So that's going to be great as far as for my series and everything, and being able to say, okay, we were following along certain guidelines was in the book, because the first book was like, for me, it was like, okay, a lot of it was for season 1. To me, it was like it was geared around the season 1 era. But now this, like when it was announced that this book was coming out, I was the first one to pre-order it, and I was like, I mean, this take my money now. So
yeah,
this is for any avid Orville fan, the Orville fan that loves every episode, like JP, like Art, like all of us here that eat, sleep, walk, talk Orville.
Yeah,
this is the item to have in your collection. Save up your money. If you can't afford it right now, save up your money. Throw those little pennies in the little piggy bank and all, because I'm telling you, this is the book to own.
Yeah, you order it now, and wherever you order, well, if you order from Amazon, they won't charge you until they ship it in September. So you can order it now and save up money until September. But I'll tell you, when I was reading the prologue, it was so beautifully done and so informative that, because I'm writing the Orville fan film right now, and while I was reading, I was like, oh, look at all this stuff I am not going to have to make up. It has so much information, because a part of my story is that I'm writing is trying to cover a bunch of stuff that might have happened before the Orville to catch us up, during some of the dialogue of the scenes. And I'm like, I now know all this information. I don't have to try to figure stuff out and then line it up with the information I already know. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, is there history on the ship? Was it a
Specific
under
history.
prior command, or was it?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
I know the ship. I can tell you the ship was first commissioned to set sail about probably a couple decades before Mercer showed up.
Okay, so very much like the Enterprise in the
Yeah.
original series.
Yeah, and the history that goes in this, we're talking a couple hundred years before the Union was even created, is covered in this book. I mean, it's catching you up through a few hundred years to the point of where you're on the Orville now.
I have a question.
It's so informative. Yeah.
Does the ship schematics include that big thing with like trees and stuff in it? Does it talk about that? There's like something
big
on the
thing
ship.
of trees.
Yeah, there's like this place with, it's like a sanctuary with like a forest and trees and stuff. No?
It might be in there. There's just a couple hundred pages to go through. I've only read up to maybe the first 50 pages. But I mean, I know I'm going through the schematic. I can't show you this schematic because it's super high quality detail.
Yeah.
But going
I'm not
through,
sure if they changed it, like, because I've seen the schematic for like season 1 and 2. I'm not sure if they changed it for season 3, but there definitely
it would make
was
sense.
a place where they had
sense.
trees, and I think that's where they got their oxygen from or something like that. It looks really
Yeah.
cool. I would love to see that season 4.
Let's see.
Yeah,
I am looking through. I'm seeing a lot of
botanical
stuff.
garden.
Yeah, like a botanical gardens.
It would make sense because part of the whole point of the ship, because it's the ship is meant for deep space missions, so people have to be there a long time, which is why they have 2 environmental simulators on the ship.
Yeah.
Every member of the crew is allotted certain hours per week to be on the eSIM.
So what was funny is when we were talking with Doug Drexler for, I think it was Virtual TrekCon, he said when he sat down with Dorothy and watched the show for the first time that he thought the bridge looked like a Tom McCann shoe place because of the suede wallpaper. And I was like, no,
yeah.
that was living. I was like living plant life. It scrubbed the oxygen, so it scrubbed the carbon dioxide. So there was a reason for that. He's like, yeah, I got rid of all of that when we redid the bridge.
Well, plants are very important in the Orville universe. Here, let me press some buttons here. Okay, I pressed the buttons. Going over like the history, you know how in the show they've talked about like the 21st century, how they're really mad at the people of the 21st century and the 22nd century, but they don't really go too deep into it. You get a little bit more information about those 2 centuries in this book and how bad things had to get on Earth for a utopian society to start forming. Things got really bad. I can't tell you how bad, but they were really bad.
Did we lose democracy?
We lost
so
that and
excited
more.
about that.
What do you mean?
Democracy?
I'm not excited. I'm excited to hear the story. Like,
Okay.
It's interesting.
Yeah, well, I can't tell you the story, but we lost pretty much almost everything, and we had to pretty much rise from the ashes of a lot of dumb stuff that was going on.
Well, I mean,
it's great.
Yeah, in order to make great changes, in society and
hit rock
paradigm
bottom.
and the way you think, yeah, I mean, extraordinary, times are going to have to, precede that. And, I think
even with Star Trek, Earth hit rock bottom before the Vulcans came and visited us.
I think in order to have any kind of dystopian, futuristic, positive future, we have to go through a period of darkness or some type of hard times in order for us to see the light to get to where on the level of the Orville or the Federation on that type of level.
The dystopian leads to utopian.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah.
Haven't we already gone through that through the Dark Ages? Like, I feel like we've made so much progress, and like we're living in some pretty good times right now. I think that we've made so much progress, and compared to how it was like just 300 years ago, we've done pretty good. So I don't know. Maybe we've already been through the dark times and we don't have to go through them again.
Wouldn't that be nice? But now we have technology, and technology can make even darker times.
I love your optimism, Elise, and it'd be fantastic. No, I agree with you. One of the things that I was just chatting with Earl Green not too long ago. He's one of the producers for Roddenberry. It's like the fact that Gene baked in this World War III, eugenics wars, whatever you want to call it, that kind of keeps shifting as the show evolves, as this bottom point for humanity before we got our act together. Is kind of disappointing, right? Because it's sort of like we're all sort of like looking forward to this utopian future with a little bit of like it's going to hurt to get there a lot, and it'd be nice to think that maybe we can get there without, things getting
without all the bad booms going on. Now, of course, we could get there very easily if everyone just read this book, Guide to the Orville. Like
buy the book, people.
Catchphrases, or it's a guide to a better future. I mean, if you just read it, you realize what we are capable of in a bad way. We can skip over that and just start getting to the good stuff.
I'm excited to read it.
Yes, buy the book, people. Mike just said it in the chat as well. Buy the book. There was another thing I wanted to talk about. Okay, so with the Orville, it's been picked up for a 4th season. Do we think? I don't know. I could see it both ways. Do we think it's going to be on Hulu again?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Hulu / Disney,
or maybe Peacock.
I would love Peacock, but also everyone. Hulu's great. Hulu's had it. Hulu's had it since day one. They just, even when it was on primetime television, Hulu always had it next day.
Right.
I've pretty much only watched, I think, one live episode of The Orville. Everything else I've watched was on Hulu. And then with Disney picking it up, what was that, August 10th of 2022? It became worldwide. Everyone around the world could watch the show. I think there has been some licensing changes recently. I think you can get the Orville on Disney Plus if you have a Hulu bundle. That's what some people are telling me.
Well, I have Hulu and I have Disney, so Hulu is now on Disney Plus. Okay. So yeah, you can see it on there. I depending on how many years, I like to think that season 4 possibly might go in production at the end of next year and come out in 2026. Or like midway of 2026. But that being said, there's always that possibility that Disney, Hulu will probably still share that series. I mean, depending on, again, we go back to Peacock but then also is Peacock, if Seth was to go with Peacock, are they going to have the money to give for the show? Because they put a lot of money into the show on Hulu.
Well, I think by the time it gets time to start production, I think all these studios will start feeling more comfortable after all these strikes and things like that to start putting money into stuff again. Right now, they're very tight-fisted because those strikes really did hurt things, which maybe they deserve to have things hurt a little bit.
I mean,
so they had to regroup and figure things out.
Yeah, the industry is definitely, it's kind of a watershed moment, right? I mean, it's the way they're paying people has changed, the way they're paying writers, the way they're paying residuals on streaming services for original, which basically before they weren't. So all that's changing. I honestly think Seth has made it pretty clear that he'll go where the money is. Like he'll go with whoever the best partner is, whether that's Apple TV, whether that's Hulu, whether that's Disney, whether that's Peacock, if he can continue to do the show and, find a way to do it without like writing the entire check himself, he'll go with whomever. And, I know
getting more show is the most important thing. Whoever wants to give the money to make the best version of the show, I think is where it's going to go. And hopefully Hulu / Disney Plus will keep it on because, both those studios have money.
Yeah.
And they have the audience.
And I also think that whatever we see is going to be more character driven, more, a more, not necessarily scaled down, but as he put it, we did the 1,000-ship space battles. Now we
Mhm.
want to have those meaningful moments where we, explore humanity through, a conversation, through a situation, through how two people interact. And, an example that was used was the episode of Star Trek Next Generation, The Wounded, where Colm Meaney, Chief
Mhm.
O'Brien, addressed his former captain who was kind of going off the rails, who may or may
Mhm.
not have been right at the end. But that kind of interaction was cited as an example of what they want to do. They've had 3 seasons to really develop these characters. So you
Yeah.
can see, and it's just an acting tour de force. Put Peter Macon in a situation where he's got to get emotional and vulnerable, and we've
Mhm.
seen that, and I want more of that.
Yeah, it seems like much of the audience, no matter what's going on the show, whether it's a big, huge episode or a small, little episode or a cheesy episode or a very dramatic episode, everyone is always lasered in on the characters. They're always asking about the characters. They want more stories from this character or that character. People want a whole season of Lieutenant Dan. They love the characters so much. I think that's what people want, is these characters. I think that's what keeps us coming back and keeps us attached. These are our friends.
They're amazing
on this
characters.
ship.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, because times has changed, where we had Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, where we were able to have almost 20 something episodes, and we're limited to 10 episodes. So you figure, how much storytelling can we tell on each of the characters? We were pretty much privileged,
Yeah.
in the 90s and early 2000s, to have shows like Deep Space Nine, where you had a long season of episodes where you can have work on a story like Lieutenant Dan and all these other characters, sub characters, and what have you. Even when they did Lower Decks for Next Generation, and had and so, to me, because now the way how seasons are for streaming, you have the maximum maybe 13 episodes a season, 10 at most, 13 is pushing it, 8 the least. So you're not going to, you want to get to know more of the characters, but you're like, okay, we gotta tell this much story in this little bit of time, and we're going to pick out 3 of our main leads for this episode.
Yeah.
For this episode, we're going to pick out these main leads, but we're going to throw in and so you have to sit there as someone who's trying to tell a story, and you want to make sure that the story goes well with the whole entire season, or whatever that theme may be, or if you're doing isolated episodes.
Yeah.
So to me, it's a catch-22, because
we were very privileged back in the day. Now things are so, just like everything in life is so expensive. Making these productions are so expensive, and watching, audience culture of watching these shows is so different nowadays. Because there's so much competition, so many distractions. 10 is about all they can afford to make on almost any show. Even on primetime shows, we're not getting 20 episodes anymore. We're getting about 10 to 13, even on non-streaming shows. So it's, I think we're lucky to get any show. We'll be very lucky when we get a 4th season of the Orville on our screen.
Because if I recall, like back in, I think 2015, 2016 is when it started tapering off. Because if you remember, like the CW shows, they were on and going, and I mean, they were up to 20 something episodes. And I'm like,
20 something seasons.
Like, wow, when did that stop? When did that stop? Like, when did they started cutting it? And they're like, well, we're cutting back. We're going to only have 10 episodes. And you're like, wow, that's kind of weird. And we've gotten accustomed to it now. But
I think it's a lot of things. I think it's besides the cost, it's the research and analysis of they analyze what viewers are doing, all the different competition. I think it's a lot of different factors are why these shows are have so much less episodes. But a lot of times I'm appreciating less episodes, because the episodes we do get are so jam packed with awesome stuff. I even found a new show that I love. Don't tell the Orville, but I've been loving the new show on Apple Plus called Dark Matter. It's a multiverse. It's so good. I'm sure it's probably 10. End up being 10 episodes, but it's riveting.
Yeah, it's when we look at the 10 episodes we got in season 3, they ranged from an hour and 7 to like an hour and 27 roughly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Movie
you
length.
you add a couple of minutes to that, and you got yourself a feature. But Eric, you're talking about the characters before. In 1990, 4, new city, new job, right out of grad school. Like my comfort zone was coming home at 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock every night, kind of winding the day down with an episode of Next Gen and hanging with people that I thought of as my friends, and we got the Geordie episode or the Worf episode or the, Crusher episode, the one Crusher episode. And it's,
that's all we need. That's enough.
Hey, if there's nothing wrong with me, there must be something wrong with the universe, right?
One thing that I'm finding is really important in storytelling, because I'm actually writing a screenplay at the moment, is conflict. So in conflict creates drama, and especially conflict between characters. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of conflicts they're going to create in season 4 between which characters and the universe. So I'm excited for that.
Well, I don't know. It sounds like if Adrian comes back, there'll just be that conflict will just write itself.
Yeah, right. Well, I feel she's coming back. As soon as that video on that podcast came out, I was like, oh, it's not definitive. She has a legit gripe. She's an actor. Right. She wants to work. She's not able to work right now. But there's not going to be, I get a lot of comments from the audience saying, oh, when they come back, aren't the actors going to have other jobs? Are they? It's pretty hard to get an acting job that's more than a couple days to a couple months.
And that's the thing with these short seasons is that you can work it in because the production length is shorter. You're not shooting for the better part of a year. A working actor, man, if there's nothing better going on at the time, you're going to take the job.
Well, I'm looking at, like, for example, I was looking at Doctor Who with Shooty Gatwell, and they were talking about how the episode Dot and Button, I believe, and he was still filming his other series on Netflix, but they worked around it where they were able to have him on there, but they had him in a unique way in the episode and all. So I thought, if said actor from the series was doing another series and all, they could probably juggle it around and write around the character where they can still have the character, whatever actor it is from the show, even if they're doing another show, hey, they're going to be here, but they're also working on another show. So anything is possible. I mean, me personally, I would like to see the whole entire cast come back, work or not, whether they're doing films or whatever. It would just be great to see all of them come back.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet we'll see all of them. They'll all be there. And hopefully we'll have another cameo by Lara, played by Halston Sage. Yeah. Here's a question by Pirate Pax. Sorry if I said that wrong. Could we get an adventure to a Caliban Zoo in the Orville TTRPG? Oh, to the game, the RPG game that we're putting out. Possibly. I don't know where the game is, the story, the campaign is leading us. I'm a player. That's all up to the dungeon master, or that's not what we call him in our game. What do we call him? I'm going to call him the Quantum Master, Woody, the Quantum Master. But I can tell you, we'll probably see the Caliban in season 4 of the Orville, because there is a story, Sympathy for the Devils, the episode that was removed from season 3 because they weren't able to film it because of world pandemic issues. The Caliban, now this is a prequel version of the Caliban, are seen in this episode. So if we're going to see some prequel versions of the Caliban in this episode, I am sure that they're going to tie that into bringing us current with the Caliban in season 4. I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, don't quote me on it, but you can quote me on it. It would just make sense from a writing stance to, if you're going to bring this alien race back from season 1, just a single episode from season 1, it might as well get us up to date with these characters. And I know everyone's been asking about them since 2017. But how about you guys? Do you want to see the Caliban? Are they addicted to reality TV?
It'd be nice to see their superior civilization just laid to ruins after getting addicted to reality TV for 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to know. What was the effect on society being introduced to reality television? I know what it's done to Earth. What did it do to the Caliban?
I hear the writers watching it right now. I know they're sitting back saying, "Wait, we need to take notes." We're taking
Yeah,
notes
right.
what everyone's talking about.
Shipwives of the Union.
But it's, I mean, to an extent, I mean, there was a lot of things brought back in season 3. There were definitely some new things. I think Mortality Paradox was brand new, but even there we revisited the planet that phased in and phased out.
Yeah, the multiphasic people.
Yeah, there were several where we revisited the Kalon backstory, or maybe not backstory, but the Kalon war and that sort of thing. There was going back to the Topa. The Topa saga, and it was all beautifully done, and it was fantastic. Shadow Realms, I think, was another fantastic original episode for season 3. But I would say probably just off the top of my head, 6 or 7 episodes like heavily tread upon previous seasons material, and that's great because you start doing that. But you got to have that healthy balance of new and old. And that's one of the issues I see with Strange New Worlds, is that there's just so much retreading and rewriting.
Well, yeah, everything's prequel with a lot of Star Trek right now, and everybody wants to know what's going on. I mean, of course, we moved forward a little bit in the Picard series. In Discovery, I think we moved forward too much. People just want to know what's going on in the 25th century at this point. And we'll have a few different shows that get us up to the year 3000 or whatever. But yeah, it's the canon. People Orville fans love Orville canon. They want to know as much about it as they can, which is why you should get Guide to the Orville. You will be shocked at how much you will learn. I mean, I know the exact date the Orville first got turned on. I know all this stuff. It's crazy.
That's great. Speaking of, retreading stuff that's interesting, I think a season 4 episode with the what happens after the Shadow Realms episode, where those people went. Will they be back? It was promised that they would be back. Is there going to be a way to, reclaim Ensign Park? Is there going to be a way to, sort of reclaim that Penny Johnson Gerald's ex-husband?
Well, I do know they created a lot more to that race of spider people than was shown on the screen. We saw just 2 phases of the spider people. From the first phase is you start becoming like half human, half spider, and then the second phase you become the full spider person. There's actually 2 more phases they designed of I guess evolution of the creatures. So I'm wondering if we'll see those versions, those phases, in the next season. I know everyone's asking about those people.
How do you guys think the marriage between Isaac and Finn is going to go?
And they lived happily ever after.
Yeah, I think they'll be happy, but of course there's going to be some like honeymooners type problems going on, like Claire to the moon.
But they'll probably do something like they did with Worf and Dax, where they'll probably focus on it. They'll have a episode focused on their marriage, on the daily life of what it's like to be married, and for them the course of their day throughout the episode for that particular episode. So they may dedicate that episode to them. That would be interesting to do.
Yeah. I think we're going to see a lot more of Isaac as a human. So we're going to see a lot more of Mark the actor in season 4.
I think everyone will love that. I'm surprised it took so long for us to see Mark Jackson actually just play Isaac, because I know they had the holographic emitter disguise thing all the way back in episode 6, season 1. Mm-hmm. I thought for sure we would even in season 1, I thought we would see Isaac play some sort of humanoid type character that wasn't a robot, but they waited that long, which I have to commend. I think that's actually great that they made us wait that long to see the technology again.
Yeah. What about Kelly and Ed? Do you guys think they're going to try to date each other in season 4? I think they're going to try and date.
Yeah, my hope is they try to date and it doesn't quite work out.
You got to have conflict.
You got to have the conflict, or they tried it out while they were while the show's in hiatus, and we learn that it didn't work out, so that they're not dating anymore.
Yeah.
And then we can kind of return a little bit to the little bit of conflict that they had in the first season, just being more. They obviously love each other, but it didn't work out. So maybe it could go back to Ed being super sad it didn't work out, but he's moving on. I would love to see Ed try to move on.
So, or he could just like use the Aeronaut device, go back, get himself a younger Kelly again, and then just bring
Mike.
that's not gonna work.
Just
That's
every
not-
once in a while, because it didn't quite work
Every
out
once
the
in a
first
while,
time.
he just wants a younger
But-
Kelly.
But
Yeah.
seriously, like I can think of 3 shows off the top of my head that had this will they, won't they dynamic. That as soon as they did, the show ended. One was Sam and Diane was Cheers. The other one was Bruce Willis with Moonlighting. And then the other one was I Dream of Jeannie. Right, as soon as Tony and Jeannie got married, that show was done. So if they did want to,
you gotta have the conflict.
What about The Office with
Pam?
Pam and Jim when they became boring?
But
Luckily, we had all the other characters.
They had a baby and stuff, and then there's new conflict with the baby and trying to work out a relationship.
I think it worked out with them pretty well because they just became a team that was against all these other characters. So there was always still conflict.
Yeah, exactly.
And actually, when they added conflict between the 2 characters in the final season, I didn't like that as much.
Yeah.
I'm like, they need to go back to being a team.
Yeah.
Maybe that all has to do with me as an audience member becoming more mature as I got older. Where when I was younger, I'd want the conflict.
Yeah. But the handhold and the look at the end of Future Unknown was very,
something.
It was like, but also it could be something where she realized this is her best friend, this is the person that she loves, but it wasn't necessarily romance driven from her point of view. Maybe Ed is hoping for that romance side, and maybe that creates the conflict in season 4, where he was hoping for more, and she was just like, "No, I love you. You're my person." But I don't think we're there. I don't like her reasons for not being with Ed. Like, she's afraid that if he has to send someone on a dangerous mission, he won't send her. And I'm like, well, I don't think that matters if you're together or not. He loves you and he's in love with you. So even if you're not together, he might not send you. But he's also proven that he can put that aside.
Maybe we'll see some of that conflict in season 4 if they do actually try and start dating, and then like it proves Ellie's point. It's like, look, this is why we shouldn't do this, because it gets in the way of like what we're here to do. So
maybe it's working out, but then something happens where it's like, oh,
proves her
we
point.
Shouldn't do this. And then us as the audience are like, oh, they're right. They can't be together right now. That would be
something like
great.
that. Yeah.
I do want to mention, Elise, your background looks like a really awesome screen grab from your new Orville game.
It is.
So you got 3 dimensions going on here.
Yeah. So this is the shuttle from season 3.
Yeah.
And it's even got the interior as well. I'm just trying because it's like mirror image. We've got the chairs in there as well and everything. You can go into the shuttle. Yeah.
Are we able to fly the shuttle?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we'll eventually, I know we had talked one-on-one about this before, but we'll ever go to Steam?
Yes, I do want to have it. I can get it on Steam for sure.
Okay, yeah, because people that I know that are gamers have been asking. They're like, "Hey, is she going to have this in Steam?" And I forgot to ask you last time when I saw you, and I'm like, "Let me ask you," because I also own Steam. I finally got the other Orville interactive game on Steam, so I'm like, I gotta ask Elise about that, because I really want I want more people to be able to know about it and be able to get on it and be able to play it.
Yeah, for sure. We'd love it on Steam. I'd also love it on like PlayStation and like Switch and stuff like that. But those are a little bit harder. But I think we'll be
able to get some licensing and all kinds of stuff for that.
It's a little bit difficult with the copyright thing. Like, we're allowed to do it as long as we don't sell it and we're not making a profit. We're allowed to. So we just got to kind of work out the legality of it. But hopefully, other consoles too.
Yeah, because like after I saw the like I said, after I saw the interactive game on Steam, I'm like, well, you know what? I can't see why you couldn't have the game on Steam. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, and so
I want
that
it on Game Boy.
Oh, actually, my friend is making the one you played, JP.
That's right. You were
Yeah.
talking about that.
He's making it so you can actually get a cartridge and put it in the Game Boy.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Now I got to get a Game Boy.
Yeah.
You
I
still
mean, one
don't.
of
You
those
don't
long
still
time.
have it. I guess I don't know. Maybe you're not old enough to still have a Game Boy. I still have my Game Boy.
Oh wow! You're
You
gonna
can
have to send that over.
He's also making custom Game Boys you can buy, which is like an Orville Game Boy.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
That is needed. That's
Now we're
needed.
talking.
take my
Now,
money now.
Yeah, I just wanted to shut up and take my money mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go do some crime, and I'll be right back with some money.
At least we're going to talk after the show.
Yeah. So Janet Smith in the chat said, "I hope Ed gets to see his daughter again. His little half krill, half human
Anaya,
daughter."
that's
Anaya,
right.
yeah.
That's very important to us and the fandom. Everyone wants, and Ed as well wants to see his daughter. Will we be able to get her? And when we do, if we are able to save her from whatever's going on in Krill, what do we do with her? Is she going to be on the ship? Will she be a character on the show? Will we send her to Earth to learn how to be an Earthling? Or what should we do with her if we save her?
So yeah, will she become Wesley Crusher or Alexander?
Hopefully she-
Alexander,
right.
who we see
Like
once
Golden
only
Colts,
every few seasons.
Yeah, right.
Well,
Guys-
she's not treated like a Golden Colts daughter.
What if she becomes corrupted by the krill lady who takes over? What's her name again?
Talia?
Yeah, what if she
Yeah.
gets
Now
corrupted?
she's never even met Talia, so will she actually? Because Talia just put her over with that home, that family, and watches over her all the time, and obviously has a camera, but doesn't visit her or anything. Is what that lady said in that
Yeah.
episode.
What if she becomes like Talea's like second hand and like
It's, like,
gets corrupted
radicalized.
by her?
But
Yeah.
Talia
Who will, as a
probably
child,
in,
who will?
I think Talia's
Oh,
in like
go ahead.
union custody at this point, though, right? Yeah.
For now, she's been in union custody before, and she escaped.
She could escape
And-
again.
Yeah, could she do it again, or would there be an uprising with some Krills try to get her out with the help of the Mocklins? Will they get together to try to save their leader, and then, but also that power vacuum? We know how the Mocklins feel about following a female. They're okay for now, but it's not going to last.
True.
So what's that power vacuum going to do? There's so many stories coming up in season 4 that we need answers to, and so many things that happen in season 3 that can lead to some epic science fiction in season 4.
Well, we're going to try to get some answers. David Goodman, Brandon Braga, and Andre Bormanis are all making appearances at Star Trek Las Vegas in August.
Oh, nice.
And the goal is to get the 3 of those folks on the Roddenberry Interactive stage to chat with me and Jessica about what, I guess it'll still be speculation at that point, I can only assume. It'll be first week of August. But yeah, hopefully we can kind of see where their creative juices are going.
Yeah, well, all of them, but also Brandon and Andre make an amazing writing team. The episodes that they've written for the Orville together are some of my favorites. I mean,
season 3 specifically. I mean, and it's weird because everybody else, and we asked both of them when they had them on there, it's like everybody else's singular writing credit, David A. Goodman, Seth MacFarlane, but those two, it's always Brandon Braga and Andre Bormanis. And that's kind of Andre's MO. He wrote a lot with Joe Menosky on Trek. He wrote a lot with Ronald D. Moore on Trek also. But he always had that writing partner. And when I asked him about it, he goes, I just like having somebody to bounce ideas off of, but I want to be the one at the keyboard also.
Yeah, there you go. that makes sense. I totally get that. I bounce ideas off my audience, but I want to be at the keyboard writing them down the way I want to write them down. Brian Dawkins brings up a good point with the Talia situation. The Krill are going to take hostages, and there will be a prisoner exchange. And I'm sure Ed will be like, no, you can't do that. And the Admiralty's like, oh, it's better to get their people, this and that. And there'll be an argument right there. Some conflict.
You know what I would love to see is like a great big battle scene, like a war, but it's like not just the planetary union, but it's like other species from other planets, and everyone just comes together to get rid of this totalitarian regime, and like
Yeah, I was
different
hoping for something like
spaceships
that
and
for against.
yeah,
Yeah,
different species all coming together.
yeah, because I was hoping we'd get something like that back before we knew we were going to have an alliance with the Kalon. I was thinking, well, if the Kalon wants to kill everybody, doesn't everybody need to get together to fight the Kalon? But now the Kalon's on our side.
Hmm.
But I'm wondering about the Calivan. The Calivan are just as powerful as the Kalon, and they haven't seemed to have taken a side yet. The Kalon are on our side, so we should be pretty good against the Krill. I mean, the Krill will probably be tough. They'll probably use some, more terrorist type techniques, but we should have the power. But if the Kalon get into the mix, if the Krill and the Mochlins get the Kalon, we're going to have some trouble.
Hmm. Yeah.
And the Kalon just look like villains. They look like little devils. So they'd be perfect to go along with the Krill and the Mochlins.
Yeah, the Caliban, I mean, they struck me as being somewhat isolationist. Like they felt superior to everybody else, but as long as you didn't go there and you left them alone, they left.
Yeah.
I guess
Well,
they left you alone, except they would kidnap you and put you in a zoo.
Yeah, right. and the Kalon were like that. They felt they were better than anyone else. Yeah. So they weren't hurting anybody either, but they were watching and they were taking notes and seeing what they think they should do. And it turns out they thought they needed to kill everybody. So what will the Caliban do? I'm afraid to find out. But it would be funny to see a bunch of little Caliban going around on their ships and doing whatever they want to do and attack whoever they want to attack. It should be pretty hilarious to watch.
Yeah.
They're kind of the Ferengi of the Orville in my book.
I wonder if we're going to get more Kalon maybe joining the ship. That would be interesting.
I would hope so. And also, let's not forget, there will be a large number of Kalon that are able to upgrade to be emotional.
Mm-hmm.
What problems might that bring on? Maybe there's one of Kalon becomes emotional and decides to be a bad guy.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, look at some of the instances of, or at least one instance I could think of, the emotional Vulcan, Cybok in Star Trek V, and there were some others, I think, maybe in the Enterprise era, but yeah, it could definitely kind of throw a wrench in their society by trying to explore things like either spirituality or who knows where.
Well, also Kalon Prime, the leader, even though he's non-emotional, he seems pretty set. Well, I guess we changed his mind a little bit, but he used to seem pretty set on just hating biologicals. So what happens if he gets emotions? But it does seem like his mind was changed thanks to Charlie Burke when she sacrificed herself to help the Kalon cause and the human cause.
Yeah, and so Graham Hamilton,
that's a non-starter.
Yeah, and Graham Hamilton coming back and playing that role would be phenomenal. Also, although that would be something that's probably more potentially easier to swap out. But man, he just did a phenomenal role as Kalon Primary.
Yeah. Well, as long as we get a Kalon stripper, we should be good.
Maybe we'll get a revisit of If the Stars Should Appear, and we'll get like another Liam Neeson cameo.
So, like your first game is a revisit of the bio ship. And it was such a great story, and it was so good to get a follow-up from those people. I think the Orville should make that story canon. For the Orville universe.
Yeah, he kind of takes lead, and
there's some. I mean, this is just rumor that I think we started on this show, so I probably shouldn't repeat it. But the possibility of Max Burkholder coming back and reprising that role. But I tell you, If the Stars Should Appear, I just thought was like probably the first, and I think it was like episode 4.
It was originally supposed to be episode 2, but they had to switch Command Performance and that episode because they needed episode 2 to really grab the audience.
Well, I mean, I think, as far as to show that the Orville could do sci-fi, on a level of the best TV sci-fi out there. That
Yeah.
If the Stars Should Appear really, really showed that. Command Performance, I thought was a good, a very good episode, a good action episode, good Alara episode. But I think If the Stars Should Appear just
That's
blows it away.
sci-fi. That's hardcore classic sci-fi. The Orville, I always consider the Orville to be sci-fi classico nuevo. That it's the new classic sci-fi, because it's really the only show out there doing classic style stories, but it's new and modernized. And
JP, you said something else to me once. You said it's not mass production; it is curated, handmade, handcrafted.
Mm-hmm. I think I got that when I was talking to Tom Costantino. I think he said something like that in one of our conversations, and I just latched onto that. I'm like, that's not even the word. It's like, what do you call someone that makes like their own soap? What do you call the soap? Not handcrafted. You call it something else.
Artisan.
That's it. Artisan sci-fi is the term he used when we were chatting, and so I just latched onto that. Artisan sci-fi, and that's what the Orville is. And the way the show's evolved over the 3 seasons, I cannot wait to see where it goes in season 4. Does the sci-fi stories just get that much more grand, and the personal stories just get that much more intimate? Put them both together, and you got a cocktail for success.
I think that one of the great things that the Orville does, which is kind of a little bit lacking in modern sci-fi, is that it brings in philosophical questions that relate to our society and our problems that we're going through today. And you see that in like Star Trek, the original series, and Next Gen, is that they weave in problems that are current into a storytelling formula that gives a solution without even realizing that you're learning. They do it in such an entertaining way. And it's like, wow, that actually made me look at things differently. And
they call that holding a mirror up to society.
Yeah. And I think like especially The Stars Should Appear, it's such a great plot, but it's also philosophically interesting because they speak about problems of religion and dogmatism and authoritarianism and these kinds of things, which are really relevant today, are always going to be relevant, but does it in such an entertaining way that it kind of breaks through a lot of barriers.
Yeah, and the audience doesn't realize right off the bat that they're learning something or thinking about something that they usually wouldn't let themselves think about, because it's happening to aliens. It's happening to people on different worlds. So they're not thinking about the human aspect at first. Yeah. But then they carry the story with them and they start applying it to the humanity that they're living every single day. If the Stars Should Appear was my absolute favorite episode of the Orville until the episode Mad Idolatry, which also explores a lot of, explores humanity in that way.
Yeah, I'd say I'd probably track right there. I think I went If the Stars Should Appear, Mad Idolatry, Lasting Impressions just really, really caught me. And then there's probably 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 in season 3 that just kind of changed my mind week by week.
Well, if there was 10 in season 3, then that's 10 for 10. Yeah. You love every episode.
Yep. So the thing about having a spaceship orbiting a planet is that you can look at things from a global perspective. Now that's my kind of sci-fi. That's what I want to see. And yes, it's metaphorical, and it's not us. Like, we're fine. Like, we're good. It's just other guys. They're all screwed up. So you don't offend anybody. And that was very much, that classic sci-fi look. Whether it was like the Twilight Zone, introducing you to a world that's not our own, where you see these problems, or the Enterprise pulling up to a planet where, like, what do you mean you guys do that? That's freaking weird. You shouldn't do that. I'm like, oh God, we do the same thing. Don't talk, but we're not talking about us. That's fine.
That's the main purpose of like the Mocklans and the Kalon and beings that don't understand humanity. When humans do something that's very human, the aliens are like, why do you do that? Or they question it, and it makes us question, why do we do that?
So if you have a spaceship and you're not doing that, I think it's a real lost opportunity. And I think
Yeah.
there are spaceship shows that don't do that.
Yeah.
And, you know, just, you might as well just call it, you might as well just make like your generic medical drama and be done with it at that point.
Grey's Anatomy in space or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, the looking like, you know, at the Orville, they have all these, it's what ifs, it's what if questions. What if there was a world where the entire society believed in astrology? You know, the star, you know, the stars in the sky. What do the stars tell them? And they base their entire society about that. What if there's a world where where Twitter ran the world? You know, everything was voted upon on a giant news feed or something like that. It's just those what if questions is what science fiction is always. It's the reason it's always attracted me. I mean, original Star Trek, Twilight Zone, all that stuff.
Hang on a second.
Sliders was like that also. They gave you the possibility of what if the Russians end up winning, and what if we had a plan? What if we went into a world where you're a genius and you're considered a superstar because you're a genius?
Yeah,
you know. So yeah, I like you. I've always loved sci-fi that would take you to like possibilities or what ifs.
Yeah,
as they call it, the what ifs, as I call it. So yeah,
I just thought of something. Elise, today's your birthday.
Yeah.
Birthday.
I'm looking at my astrology chart from, you know, the world of the Orville, and it's showing that you're a Gilliac.
Oh my goodness!
No way,
really?
Goodness! Wait, let me kick her off the stream really quick.
Up, guys.
I'm totally making that up.
Yeah, you're locked
I'm
up.
kill
Bars.
everyone.
Oh no, that's what Gilliacs do apparently.
Yeah.
Well, happy birthday! Happy birthday to you.
I couldn't imagine a better way to spend my birthday than hanging out with you guys and hanging out with the Orville fans. I'm so glad.
I hope you're getting a corner piece of cake today.
I will.
A corner piece. Yeah, and the cat was out of the bag pretty early on in the chat. People were saying happy birthday. So
thanks, guys.
So folks must have known without us, you know, dropping it.
I think
the
it
secret
shows on
out.
Twitter. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you're probably, you know, first going to go to the bars tonight for the first time legally. Is that
How old do you think I'm turning?
Well, I know how old you are, so I'm not fair to ask. So
yeah, no, I'm not going to the bars. I'll probably just play some video games online with some friends. And,
lovely.
Yeah, like the nerd I am, just play some video games.
There you go.
We're getting all the birthday messages coming in. Happy birthday!
Guys.
Happy birthday! Oh, here's a special one. Does it show up on screen? Yes, it does. Birthday cake. Wait, that's a corner piece. Don't eat that.
Is it a corner piece?
That's not a corner piece. I could tell. But it has a strawberry on it, so Bortis might like it.
Nice.
It has something. As long as it has a flower or some decoration on it. Barry says, no, she's not a Gilliac. Gilliac is from the end of October into November, from what I saw. But you're on the other side of the planet, so maybe in the southern hemisphere, Junes are actually Octobers.
True.
So is that based on when All the World is Birthday Cake premiered, or is that based on something else?
I don't know. Well, it premiered in that was season 2.
Season 2.
It premiered in late winter because season 2 didn't start until like the last day of December. But I felt like I remember it being like October or something like that in the episode. I don't know why I remember why I'm thinking that, but I am thinking that. Maybe somebody worked it out at some point.
I'm sure it's on the Orville wiki. My friend actually
the
read
Orville
that
wiki also a lot of info.
Yeah.
I would not be able to do Mission Log the Orville without the Orville wiki.
Same here. I've for years, since day one, I've always go there to refer to stuff or to get inspiration for stuff. So if you guys are out there and you want to know more about all the Orville that you've watched so far, all behind the scenes stuff, information about every race, every character, every ship, every episode, every season, and then some, go to the Orville fan wiki on the internet. www.internet.com.
I can post a link as well.
Thanks, Elise.
And I'm wondering, sorry, I have all these buttons on this StreamYard screen. I'm wondering what this one does. Okay, it's working. There's a record button. I'm doing something different with this stream where I'm recording each stream individually. So if I want to go back and edit it, I can adjust things. And it's just, there's a record button.
Yeah, it's nice because StreamYard records everybody's local audio and video now and then uploads it. So you get nice, even if it's not.
That'll come in really handy because the first stream we did, my microphone accidentally reset itself to like the loudest setting and I didn't realize it. And I'm like, well, I can't edit this in anything. I'm so freaking loud. It's just not going to work. But this should be beautiful. Absolutely perfect. Let's see. Barry says Jiliak.
Hey, yes, Mike, I heard that you're going to have an Orville panel at Comic-Con this year.
I heard you're going to have an Orville panel at Comic-Con this year.
Oh, we're going to be on the same panel, I think.
Yeah. So it's it's a fan panel. I think it's going to be Friday morning. I'm not sure exactly of the exact time yet.
Wait, this which Comic-Con?
San Diego.
Oh, San Diego. Oh, okay. I'm like, wait, not New York Comic-Con. I would have heard about that.
But, San Diego Comic-Con. So just an Orville, kind of like this, just fans of and people that do things streaming or YouTube with the Orville. We're invited to just kind of chat about it. We'll get the exact time, but it'll be Friday. I think that's June 20. I don't have a calendar.
July.
Oh, that's coming up. July. Right. July sounds more like it. Yeah.
Yep.
And I'll be doing my panel right here on YouTube.
So if anybody in San Diego, since we just found out about this, I think it'll be the 26th, wants to put me and ELYSE up in San Diego.
Awesome.
Just let us know.
We need a place to stay.
Yeah, you don't want to just show up without a plan.
Yeah.
You want to have a place to stay in San Diego.
Yeah, I think I'm a little too old to paratroop into a city like that. So
yeah. Let's see. I'm just looking here.
For anybody who doesn't know, that's when you fly into a city without a place to stay and try to find a place to stay while you're there.
Yeah, that's not for me anymore. Yeah, Barry says they'd be a Jiliak or close to it, and yes, there was. It was there at the wiki page, I believe.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, the Orville is just kicking off. They're promoting it way more. The actors are showing up at way more conventions just the last couple months than ever before. They're really gearing up, it seems, to support this 4th season announcement, which will hopefully be sometime between now and September. I think going past September would be too far. They should really do it before September or by September to help support the guide to the Orville, which everyone should make sure they pre-order. The description is below this video. In the description below, you got to check it out. It's great. I have it right here in front of me. I can't get too specific about it because you want to read this thing, and I don't think I'm allowed to get too specific about it.
So that link is to the pre-sale, and it comes out sometime in September. Is that
September 24th? And I'm already working up doing an interview with. Hopefully it works out. I'm waiting to hear back. He contacted me, and I contacted him back, and I'm waiting to hear back again. Matthew Cushman, who drew the schematic, the Orville schematic, which is a beautiful piece of work. So we'll be talking about that and talking about the book, but that's forever away because it's in September.
That leads me to another question about season 4 potentially. This was something Doug Drexler brought up. He was like, since it's going to be, it's already roughly 2 years. We're looking at another year at least. Are we going to see a refit, like a significant?
Well, the last refit was very significant.
Sure was. Yeah.
And the reason, and they had to refit all ships in the universe because none of them matched up to how cool the Orville now looked.
Yeah.
So they had to redo all of them. It was originally just supposed to be the Orville they were going to refit, and then they had to keep going because all the other ships looked like junk sitting next to the Orville.
Yeah, the season 3 premiere, Brandon Fayette was showing me the season 3 Orville on his phone and work that he had done among a big team of people to update the look of that. And it was just, it looks great. So yeah, I mean,
they added, maybe we'll see, because I do know that this is something that Orville has the capability of doing. It does do it. In the shuttle bay, all the ships are on like elevators or conveyor belts.
JP, haven't you seen my video on Phoenix Development? I've made that. Like, see the shuttle bay here?
Oh,
they go
okay.
down.
I didn't see it. It's going from a conversation with the crew.
I got help from Kit Stolen. Him and I designed it together.
I think it was Kit that told me about that,
so
but no,
Kit
I
told
didn't.
Me too, and I created it. So, like, see here where the shuttlecraft is. This gray
I need to see that. I want to see, that line right there, that gray area.
Check it out. It's on our Twitter page. It goes down, and then the shuttle ships go onto a conveyor belt, and they go through a tunnel into like a cargo hold, and then I have like a tractor beam lifts them up and puts them into like
luggage.
Yeah, like cargo holds, and that's what they actually have on the ship. And I designed it, and I really want to see that season 4.
And that explains why they had so many of the those fighter ships in the episode Domino. I mean, John had one, Gordon had one, other members of the crew had one, probably also people from other ships.
Acknowledged.
What's acknowledged?
Yeah, acknowledged.
that's just when the whole when the whole squadron was checking in.
They're all going to acknowledge that little Star Wars moment.
Yep.
They're all checking in. Yeah, there are more than what's the ship called? I know the name of the ship. I did old trivia about the Pterodon. Duh, that's it. They have multiple Pterodons. They have more than just 2 shuttles. Even though we've only seen Shuttle 1 and Shuttle 2, but there's technically a 3 and a 4 or something like that. I wonder if we're going to see that in season 4, because they wanted to do it in season 3, but they didn't have time to put it into an episode without messing up the flow of the episode.
It's going to look so cool. The way that I designed it is probably not going to do it justice. I can't wait to see it.
But who doesn't love that shot in Space 1999 underneath Moonbase Alpha of all of the Eagles when after they drop down below that launch pad and they're down there? Like that is such a cool level of detail, and it makes it so relatable to anybody that's ever been in a hangar, on a hangar deck, something like that. Just gorgeous.
Yeah,
I would love it if
I would own Eagle One. I have to own one of those in my lifetime. I need one. I wanted one since I was a kid watching Space 1999.
You need that, and you also need an Orville Game Boy. And you need the guide to the Orville.
Yes. You
need the Orville game to be released from ELYSE.
Yeah.
It's got so many things.
And we need an associate link for JP for all of these things. Yeah. So
oh yeah.
I'll have a link for some of those things, not all of those things, I'm sure. We also need more Orville. We need season 4 of the Orville. We were supposed to be getting it. We've been told that it has been renewed. For what? What's it been renewed for? A movie? No, a 4th season. How long will that season be? Hopefully 10 episodes. Now I do know season 3 was supposed to be 11 episodes. They actually got picked up for 11 episodes, but 1 episode had to be dropped. But we're getting that episode in season 4. That's what Seth said a long time ago when he was talking about Sympathy for the Devil.
Did he say that publicly, JP?
Yeah, he said it publicly.
Okay.
He said, do we let go of this episode because we can't film it, or do we find a way to film it in a way that would just suck, or do we hold on to it for season 4?
Yeah, because I get this. I'm sure the same thing happens to you. Is like he'll say stuff to us, and then I don't know whether I'm going to say it. I obviously.
Yeah, I have to remember. Was this a public statement or was this a private statement?
That's why. The reason he wrote the novella and put it out was because basically to trademark it, to prove that he wrote it back then, just in case anybody else wants to essentially write
steal his ideas.
Now, if you want to see exactly, in my opinion, this is just me talking, where that idea came from. on Seth's Twitter feed, he recommended a book called The Story Paradox, which I read, and it's a pretty quick read, but it was very interesting. And there's a chapter, I think it's actually a subchapter in it, called Empathy for the Devil, and it posits twin brothers, both put up for adoption, one raised in Germany, the other one, adopted by American parents that move it to the United States. They're essentially the same individual, one fighting for Germany during World War II, the other one fighting for the United States. So is one of those people good and the other one evil, or is it just a matter of circumstances, or, that kind of thing? But it's an interesting thought exercise. And I can't help think that wasn't the nugget that turned
it's
into
a huge moral dilemma.
Yeah.
It's a moral question. The whole story of Sympathy for the Devil is putting a situation in front of the audience and asking them to think on it. What would you do? What would you think about? I don't want to give the whole story away, but what this person is. Would you feel for them? Would you not feel for them? But also the story. I'm glad he wrote it, and I'm glad he got Bruce Boxleitner to do the narration of it. But I'm glad he wrote it and put it out, because this episode could easily be a Star Trek episode. Could easily be done by Star Trek if Star Trek wanted to do it. Though they don't have any real current. I mean, I guess Discovery could have done this episode. Strange New Worlds couldn't.
It's very philosophical and Socratic, I think, which is it sends a very important message, which is no one acts against their greater knowledge, and had they had better knowledge, they would have acted better. And we all do what we think is right given the knowledge that we have. Yeah. So kind of, be tolerant towards those who don't have better knowledge, because they just don't have better knowledge. It's not their fault.
When I was talking with Brandon Fayette, he said his favorite episode is the Tale of Two Topas episode, but Sympathy for the Devil is his second favorite episode of the Orville, or of season 3. And it's so sad we didn't get to see it, but we will in season 4, because I know Seth wants to produce this episode.
I vote Domhnall Gleeson as the main character.
Okay. Yeah, I was
since he already had practice playing a similar role in The Force Awakens.
Yeah, I was trying, while going through the story, I'm like, who would play these roles? I was thinking, okay, for the one bad guy character, I don't want to give it away, but Christoph Waltz. But I'm like, he kind of played that character already.
What about Richard E. Grant?
There you go.
Yeah, I can see him doing it. I can see him.
And now when I watch other shows, I'm like, that actor should be on the Orville season 4.
Oh,
that actor should be on.
Michael Fassbender.
Oh yeah, I mean,
because he looks good, but he's also got an evil side.
Yeah, didn't he play the young Magneto?
Exactly. Yeah,
he did.
He'd be great.
And he played a German spy, but
he'd be perfect.
He held up the wrong 3 fingers in Inglourious Bastards.
Yep.
Yeah, he'd be good.
And all the time, anytime I watch anything, I'm always like, they should play a Retepsian. They would play a Mocklin. They could play an admiral. I see it all the time. There's this one guy. I don't know the actor's name. I've only seen him in 2 things. He's on the show. Abbott Elementary, and he's on the show. Big Door
Always Sunny in
Prize.
Philadelphia.
Who? No, which actor?
No, I don't know.
No, what did he play on Abbott?
Oh, on Abbott, he is. The main girl. She went and became part of the district, and then there's the guy.
Oh, he played on Arrow. He played on Arrow and stuff. I know the guy who's like, hi.
Yeah, and then,
pretty good. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, that guy. I'm like, he could play a Retepsian. And also, if I ever needed someone to pump me up, I want that guy to do it, because he's so positive and happy. I'm like, he would be perfect Retepsian.
Yeah, he was good.
But I don't know his name, but I want to track him down and see if I can interview him. Let's say, hey, man, I'm going to interview you to play a Retepsian. Not really, but just to do a video about it so that the Orville might see it and might hire you to be a Retepsian.
He was a good bad guy on Arrow. So he was
really, I couldn't even imagine him being a bad guy. He's so positive.
Yeah, he was a good bad guy on Arrow. So, Oh my gosh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, good pick. Good pick.
Yeah. And audience, you should watch Abbott Elementary and
Yeah.
watch Big Door Prize on Apple
Yes.
Plus. That's good too.
Yes, Abbott is really good.
Yeah, that type of comedy is my absolute favorite type of comedy. That one camera office / Parks and Recreation type show.
Yeah, kind of like the mockumentary.
Yeah, mockumentary type thing.
And when my wife being a school teacher out of Philadelphia, it was so relatable for her. So she was just like, we watched that faithfully. So yeah.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. It's well written, well acted, and just some great stories. But that's not the Orville.
Also, I hear Ted is pretty good, and I hear that Mike might be covering some Ted stuff on Mission.
Oh yeah, don't forget to check out Ted on Peacock.
Yeah, talking
Mike,
Ted
tell us what's going on with Ted.
Yeah, so Ted, we're just dropped our it was kind of our 4th episode. We had Seth on to do kind of an overview of season 1 and talk a little bit about Ted the movies and the genesis of Ted the series. And then we jumped into the episodes, and we had Georgia Wiggum on to chat about the pilot episode. And then we had Alana Eubank is coming on. We've got Georgia back this week for the 4th episode. It's not Trains, Planes, and Automobiles, but it's something like that. Subways, Trains, and Planes, I think it's called. Jessica and I were on our own to talk about ejectile dysfunction. That episode dropped.
I saw a thumbnail for that
just the other day. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, that was more, when we have a guest on, it's great to have that guest, but I feel like we don't have as much opportunity for just Jessica and I to just banter about the the show.
Just fan out a little bit.
Fan out and talk about the observations, what was funny about it, and things like that. So ejectile dysfunction was fun. And then we've got lined up Alana Eubank is going to talk about the episode Desperately Seeking Susan. And then we've got hopefully Scott Grimes will show up for Loud Night, which is episode 6. And then we've got Seth lined up for the last one, who is, we've already got him recorded to chat about the final episode 8. Episode 7 of the series. It'll be our episode 8. So it's been a blast. It's sponsored by Bear Fight Whiskey. So they've sent us a couple of bottles for sampling, and I've been running it through its paces, either drinking it neat or with with an old fashioned, a hot toddy. I've had it just on ice, a little bit of water. Last week I made something called a New York sour, which is like a whiskey sour with just a little bit of I use a sweet, calls for a sweet red wine. And I think my wife had a bottle of a locally sourced like blackberry wine or something like that I just kind of layered into there. And it's fantastic. It's very adaptable. I mean, it's everything I've thrown at it. It's up to the task. And I'm not a big whiskey snob. It's an American single malt. I know that. But I know it's just easy to drink, and
is it diverse enough? Is it diverse enough that if you poured it on toast, it would taste good on toast?
Let me try that.
Really?
I will be back.
Have you talked with Alana yet?
We did. We already recorded that episode. And she is so flipping cool, man.
Well, I was going to say to let her know that she is my favorite character on the Ted series. She plays the mother, and I just fell in love with that character. I think she's so funny, and you also get some insight into what she's dealing with.
She is such an incredibly diverse performer. Her IMDb page is a mile long. She's a very talented character actress. She can play such a variety of roles. She's never worked in the Seth universe before, so this is her first time. So it's like most of these folks, right? He's been with Scott Grimes for years. He's worked with Georgia on the Orville, and Max on the Orville, and these. Usually he kind of collects people.
And Penny Johnson Gerald on the Orville, and Mike Henry on the Orville. They're all on the Ted series.
So it is. So it's kind of unique to bring a new player into that. And I was like, so what was that like? Did you feel like everybody knew each other and you were like the new kid at school? And she was like, no, they were great, man. They were really inclusive and friendly right away. Yeah, Matt, Tim Russ, an episode of the Orville, as well as an episode of Ted, where he plays an ER doctor.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, but she was and voice acting. She was in Encanto. I think she was in that, or one of the Disney animated films where she played a character.
Disney's doing animation now. Interesting.
I've heard that. Yeah, breaking news. But yeah, she was so cool. Like I had to I mean, it was funny not to like to try to reach her level of energy and try to match that, because she was just so like enthusiastic and cool and good to be about. So look for that in an episode coming up, but it's actually going well. I mean, it's been a lot of fun. I was a little hesitant to break the format of what we're doing and try something else, but I think Jessica's taken on the production role for this. So, nice. I'm helping where I can, lining up some guests and doing stuff like that. But kind of when we did the comic book, she was busy with other things. So I kind of lined all of that up, and with ELYSE's help. And with this point, I told her I was very busy. So she's really taken that, and she's arranged for the advertising, and she's pushing things to social media and doing a lot of just phenomenal work. And all I do is show up and try to keep up. And it's been a fun project.
We definitely need to get Benedict Cumberbatch on the Orville.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He did Star Trek. Why not do the Orville?
Who would he play?
Khan Noonien Singh.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna make him a Ratepsian as well.
I am Khan.
Yeah. I loved his character until it turned out to be Khan, and I was like, oh.
So I was just talking to my buddy about that yesterday. I was like, if they had, different timeline, and they do exactly what Admiral Marcus said, they go out and they find this ship and they crack it open, and they realize there's this bad guy on there that they could use. That bad guy could have been Jonathan Harrison. It didn't need to be Khan Noonien Singh. And then what I thought was, so if they go down this thing, and the big reveal, towards the end, is that this dude was on Khan's ship. He's one of these, superhumans, augments or whatever. Then at the very end, when they show this row of 72 popsicles, they could like zoom in on one of them and have Ricardo Montalban like CGI'd into that thing and just end it like that. And I thought that, but it's always easy to take somebody else's idea and riff off of it.
Yeah. Well, the studio probably was, they probably thought it has to be Khan. Yeah. Because we need to sell tickets.
Right.
And
now,
that's why a lot of bad ideas come out.
It would have been great if Cumberbatch played Gary Seven. I think he would have been a great Gary Seven.
Yeah.
But
didn't he have a cat? Doesn't he need to have a cat? Is he allergic to cats?
Yeah. And one of the things I'll say, upon reflection of the Kelvin universe, Star Trek films, is at the time, in the moment, sitting there, eating popcorn, watching the movie, listening to that awesome Michael Giacchino, tracks, blaring over the speakers in Dolby. I enjoyed them. I really did. And it was kind of like later on when I was like, getting milk out of the refrigerator, like the next, when I got home later that afternoon, I was like, Chris Pine was kind of I didn't like that Captain Kirk. Or like later on, I'd be like, I don't think he ever would have talked to Spock that way. It was all like that reflecting after the fact, but in the moment, I thoroughly enjoyed those movies.
Yeah. I was like that with the Star Wars prequels. In the moment, I enjoyed them all. But afterwards, thinking about them, I'm like, well, that's dumb. That didn't make sense. Or, something like that. Or that's not needed or necessary. Or that was whiny. Even whinier than Luke Skywalker. That's pretty whiny if you can be whinier than Luke Skywalker.
It is, man. Ever since somebody pointed that out to me, I cannot watch episode 4 without just thinking about how whiny.
Yeah. And he's going to drink that weird milk.
Yeah.
Why is he drinking the weird milk? Don't drink that. Just drink water.
Something. I mean, that was their whole business. You think they would have gotten a discount on water, right?
Yeah. See, General Podrosky, awesome artist
Pedro.
and effects awesome person for the Orville and other production, Star Trek as well, says, I still think Into Darkness is a good movie. I've been planning. It's been so long since I've seen it. I know I was like, wah, wah, when there was the reveal of Khan and then they reversed Spock and Kirk for the death scene. But I've been wanting to go back now that I'm older after all this time and rewatch it and see what I think about it now, because I don't remember much of it except for those things I didn't like.
Yeah, my wife and I rewatched the Kelvin films probably within the last year, just kind of like on 3 consecutive weekends, and I like, honest to God, I think they held up pretty well. I think Beyond is the most Star Trek of the 3 of them, and I think Scotty is the guy that saved Beyond. In a lot of
Carl
ways.
Urban is so good at anything he does. But I loved his Bones character.
Right. Yeah, me too. But I think Scotty was the one that had the message. My wheat granny says you can't break sticks in a bundle. Things like that. Like that was, I think very redeeming. And like I said, the movies were, like I said, at the time I enjoy them. They're sort of a caricature of Star Trek, the original series, to me. And not, like building.
It's kind of like Lost in Space, the movie that came out in '99
with Joey Tribbiani.
Yeah, absolutely.
Matt
Joey, how you doing? I'm lost in space. How you doing? But yeah, I never minded the Kelvin films. As soon as I found out they were in it was a multiverse thing, I was like, oh, okay, do what you want. Do what you want.
Yeah, a friend of mine said, why am I supposed to care about this Fugazi Enterprise and this fake timeline? And I'm like, I don't know, man.
Just pretend it's a real timeline. If you believe in the multiverse, which if you believe in Star Trek, then you would, because even in the original series, they had multiple universes. Just say, hey, it's one of them other universes where everything's too big and the movie's too big and the ships are too big, everything's too big. But hey, it's a different universe. It's a bigger universe. Even though the Orville has giant planets that are, Solea is a giant planet. Things happen. Maybe the gravity's really heavy on Earth in the Kelvin timelines.
I'm excited for the new species that they come up with. Like, we've seen a lot of cool alien species, but who knows what other new alien species we'll see? Yeah. Like, maybe there's an alien species that is as big as the Orville.
Oh, wow. Like a giant creature.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Like, I mean, we had that fake troll that was pretty big, but not the size of a ship in the episode Mortality Paradox. Randall was the name of it.
Randall.
Yeah, Randall.
What a name.
Yeah. I would like to see Randall go against Justin the Ogre from episode 1.
I'd like to see them do more upgrades to the uniforms also, to see if they're going to elevate the uniforms.
It's a tradition so far. They've done it every season.
We were chatting about the dress uniforms in season, the finale of season 3, and Seth said the person that designed those brought him 3 or 4 options, and he was like, all of these are nicer than what I have now. So I think we'll see new unit. He was like, cool. And he was like, and there's one in particular that he really had his eye on. So I would not be surprised. I don't know that I would put money on it, but I would not be surprised to see a uniform upgrade in season 4.
Well,
yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. They would do. I mean, season 1 had the original, and then season 2, once Alara went home, ever since then they had the different pins. Yeah. Then, of course, season 3, which, by the time we get to season 3, the entire universe was taken apart and gone into a different universe and then put back together again. So there was a lot of changes for season 3. Kit, when I was talking to Kit and Brandon, they both said, "Oh, we're just going with the idea that when Kelly actually said yes to Ed in the season 2 finale." That the universe was put back together, but not everything was exactly put together exactly the way it used to be before. So that's why, some things looked a little bit different.
Interesting.
The ships were a little bit different because not everything was put exactly back together.
That's clever.
But of course, they didn't put that in an episode, so that's just
Mm.
behind the scenes information.
Yeah, kind of like, I mean, I would say part of the headcanon explanation of why different iterations of Star Trek look so differently is because, they keep futzing with the timeline, right? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, they go back and, City on the Edge of Forever, and, a hobo kills himself, in the alley with McCoy's phaser, which is really, really sad. But, maybe that affected things somehow. Maybe Chekhov leaving his phaser and Star Trek 4 affected things in a
Yeah,
different way.
how think about, like, even before the Aronov device was created, there was in Priya's century, they had that wormhole they were manipulating to travel back in time, back and forth. If there's time travel in these sci-fi shows, imagine how many times things change and then get put back together and then taken apart again without anybody ever even knowing it.
Or it could be like Loki, where it like splits off the timeline and a new timeline gets created.
Yeah, that's what dark matter is about. I mean, every decision that can be made, there's a universe to reflect that slight change.
Yeah.
And so some universes will be very different, and other ones will be pretty much exactly the same, just with small differences. And
They did it with season 1 of The Flash, and when he made that first going back in time, he changed. And a lot of people didn't realize, I'm like, you realize he changed the timeline after season 1, and
it's
everything
a whole
is
butterfly effect type of thing. You change one little thing in the past, there'll be ripples, and the changes get bigger and bigger as time goes on.
Or it could be that like things just kind of are destined to happen. Like if it's not this person, then someone else is going to do it because these things are necessary for progress. So you can explore that theory as well. There's lots of different theories.
Yeah, well, one theory I've always had about the multiverse, and nobody has done it yet on a screen, is that, like, say there's a different version of you in another universe. There should be universes where there's you, where you live there, but you look completely different. Because when the sperm and the egg got together, the sperm that won could be a slightly different sperm, which would mean you would be a little bit different. Different.
That's what they do
different
in
DNA.
Loki. They have like a Loki.
That's right. They have the alligator
crocodile
version. Well, Loki's the first one.
And about time, again, dropping another Domhnall Gleeson reference. If he went back in time to before his wife was pregnant, they ended up with a different baby. So
right,
that was, because it's hard. You can't replicate that. You can't
guarantee
that's going to happen the same way.
It's millions, literally millions of points of randomness, all fighting for the same thing. So
that was always the, like, once he could only go back as far as like the previous kid that he had in order to change things. So it was an interesting, and that's, I guess, technically a sci-fi. It's a time travel movie, so one of my favorites. I mean, that one, I take that back. It's actually one of my daughter's favorite movies. It is one of my favorite movies. It's probably her favorite movie. So we end up watching it a couple of times a year when she's home from school.
Nice.
As long as it's time travel, I don't care about the rules. I don't care if it makes sense. I just like time travel. So it doesn't even have to be excellent or amazing or really well thought out. Just go back or forward in time a little bit, and I'm a happy camper.
Well, my screenplay that I'm writing is time travel.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, now you're learning about a lot of different opinions on time travel. So
exactly.
maybe
can you say any more? Is it an independent work? Is it to try to fold it into a series, or is it standalone?
Well, I'm writing it as a feature, but I'm open to the idea of a limited series. We'll see what the execs say. But yeah, so that's what I'm working on, and I'm trying to like not go too far into the theory of time travel, kind of keep it open for people to
interpret a little
question.
bit.
Yeah.
Question. That's even better.
I mean, if people are willing to swallow fall down in front of a rock with a gemstone in your pocket time travel, then I don't think the rules are really too important. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can just, I think, wave your hand at a lot of that.
No, you just make up your own rules.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tommy Wimey.
Timey-wimey, wibbly wobbly. Yeah,
that's supposed to happen. Tommy Wimey. That's the answer for everything.
Yeah.
He changed the time.
Well, it looks like we went a lot longer this time than last time, and that's good because there's a lot of things to talk about when it comes to the Orville. But it looks like it probably is time to wrap up this session of the Union.
One more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who would love to see? Because this is something that I've been wanting: a Orville action figure set
By Todd MacFarlane.
Todd MacFarlane, Hasbro.
That's what I want.
Who would you want, or an independent? Because that's something we need. That's something that, and I mean, it's great to see custom figures. It's great to see people getting pop figures of it. But I want, if Star Trek, Star Wars, and all these other companies can put out these great figures and all, I want Orville figures. That's when you really know it's really like.
I want MacFarlane figures. I want plushies, and I want Funkos.
Well, MacFarlane did do the Family Guy figures. I can't see why he couldn't do the Orville.
Yeah, people make custom Orville Funko Pops all the time, and they look great. So let's get some legit ones going on.
Hey, I got Planetary Step ones.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know, you can actually go on to FunkoPop.com or Funko.com and create your own Funkos. So if the Orville doesn't officially do it, we should try to officially do it ourselves. Well, unofficially do it, I should say. We should Funko it up a little bit.
We should.
Get funky.
If you got the moolah for that, somebody out there's got the moolah to make some Orville Funko Pops. But I want to thank you guys for showing up here. Thank all the fans out there of the Orville, all you Orvillians out there joining us for this conversation, an amazing conversation, and a series style conversation, because we'll be back next month. I think we'll have a special guest or two coming up in a couple of episodes in the future here. If you want to help support the Orville, talk about the Orville, watch the Orville, rewatch the Orville, introduce somebody to the Orville. There's Orville merch out there. The Hulu store has some official Orville merch. I have Fandom Orville merch. Click in the links in the description below if you want to help talk in the Orville. Turn the lights back on. Yes. I've been battling YouTube for almost a year now, and YouTube has officially won. The lights, I got the lights on, but the lights are actually really off. I have to try to get the lights to turn back on, get back to making full-time Orville content, hopefully in a couple months. But until then, we'll be having great conversations like this. If you want to contribute to the Talking the Orville PayPal, link is in the description. Become a patron. We ain't going anywhere. We're going to keep supporting this wonderful universe and this most wonderful fandom, the only truly utopian fandom out there for a truly utopian show. Thank you all. And thank all of you, the Union, the admirals of the fandom. We got Eric from A Planetary Step, the Orville fan series. We got ELYSE from Phoenix Development. Did I say that right? Phoenix Development. They made the amazing Orville game. And they got a new Orville game coming out, and you can see a little screenshot of it right behind ELYSE right there. And Mike Richards from Mission Log, the Roddenberry podcast. I say that right?
You did.
Talking about the Orville, talking about Ted, and talking about whatever they want to talk about. Links for everybody's in the description below. Click on them.
And thank you, JP, for organizing this and doing this. Yeah. Amazing.
Well, thank you very much for saying yes. I just had to get over myself. I've been a hermit. Ever since I started working on the internet, I kind of became a hermit a little bit. Like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to type things and press enter and send and all that stuff. I decided to get over that so we can all do what humans like to do and communicate.
That sounds like a plan.
All right. Well, I'm going to end the show here. Thank all of you guys for watching this show, this silly little show. I'll see you very soon. And remember, we all do better when we all do better together. Now I have to press a button. I'm going to press it right now. Here we go.
Bye, guys.